All right, so now into case 4. So why I found this case very challenging, I also found it extremely interesting, so I'm really excited to talk about it. However, we have a lot to get through, so I'm going to dive really, really briefly into the first 3 diagnoses and why I think they're incorrect, and then we're going to dive a lot deeper into the final diagnosis and why I think that is the correct one. All right, so option A, hereditary fructose intolerance. So this disease is going to affect the ability of the individual to digest the sugar fructose. And fructose is a monosaccharide that's typically found in fruit. And we see this, we see HFI in individuals, so still younger individuals, but we see it when parents start to introduce foods other than breast milk into the diet. So immediately I ruled this out because this baby has only been receiving breast milk, and breast milk is made up of the sugar lactose, which is going to have glucose, and which is a disaccharide made of glucose and galactose. Therefore, this baby has never received any fructose, so it is not this disorder. All right, option B, galactosemia. So this disease typically affects how the body processes the monosaccharide galactose. And discussed previously, galactose is actually found in breast milk. So at first I was like, oh, maybe it can be this disease. But then when I looked deeper, there are many, many types of galactosemia, but they all manifest and cause very, very severe health complications within a few days of birth. And this baby is 2 years old and has, 2 months old, and has been healthy up until this point, so we can rule out galactosemia. All right, option D, glucose 6-phosphate glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency. So this disease is going to affect the red blood cells in the body, and people that have this disorder suffer from a defect in the enzyme G6P, which is going to cause the red blood cells to break down prematurely. So this is going to cause hemolytic anemia and jaundice, which are 2 symptoms that we did not see in our patient. And it's also really important to note that this disorder almost exclusively is found in males. So that's another reason why I ruled this out, because not only is our patient female, if epinephrine was delivered to a patient with G6P dehydrogenase deficiency, you would see an increase in blood glucose levels, which you would not see in the next diagnosis. Sorry, on to our last one, drum roll. The correct answer is glycogen storage disease. And I actually did a lot of research into glycogen storage disease and found out that there are multiple types. And based off of this patient's symptoms, I'm going to diagnose her with GSD type 1A, also known as von Geroch's disease. And von Geroch's disease is an inherited disorder in which the body is unable to break down glycogen, which is going to lead to an unhealthy buildup of glycogen in the body's organs and eventually their inability to function properly. So in other words, people that have GSD type 1A are not able to complete the process that we know as glycogenolysis. So we're typically going to see symptoms in individuals around 3 to 4 months when babies are not feeding as frequently as newborns are and they're starting to experience times of fasting. So the first thing I saw, I was like, so this baby is experiencing like these jittery spells after a 2-hour long fasting due to hypoglycemia. So immediately that fit this disease. So symptoms along with that: hypoglycemia, lactic acid buildup, increased level of uric acid, hypoglycemia, and an enlarged liver. So to dive a little bit into glycogenolysis, this is the process where we break down glycogen stores into glucose and use it in the blood to increase our blood glucose levels. This process is going to be stimulated by glucagon and epinephrine. So quickly, just to dive into some of the enzymes that are really, really important, not only in this disease, but also in the process of glycogenolysis. So basically, we have our glycogen, and that's going to be broken down by the enzyme glycogen phosphorylase. And then after that process occurs, we're going to see the formation of G1P, which eventually is going to be converted to G6P, which is glucose 1-phosphate. And it is at this point, when we have our G6P, that it is broken down by G6Pase into the glycogen, into the free glucose that we're going to see in the blood. However, this is where individuals with GSD type 1A run into a big problem. they lack the enzyme G6P-ACE to break down the G6P. So individuals that have this are going to have a very excessive amount of G6P, which is going to wreak havoc on the metabolic processes. So this is going to lead to an increased activity in the pentose phosphate pathway and also lead to increased pyruvate levels in glycolysis. And this increased levels of glucose or of pyruvate in glycolysis is going to be too much for the body to handle, and the citric acid cycle is not going to be able to oxidize it as fast as it's supposed to. So therefore, it's going to lead to lactic acidosis, which is why we see an increase in individuals that have this disease with blood lactate. So why is this the correct, a little over time, sorry, why is this the correct answer? First of all, correct age to be diagnosed, the symptoms fit to a T, and it's really important to note that individuals with this disease, if they are administered epinephrine, they are not going to see an increase in blood glucose levels like we would see in other people. Instead, they are going to see an increase in blood lactate levels. Whew, all right, well, that's a wrap on case 4. Thank you.